Today is the big day where I reveal my new gravel bike. And it's, what are you doing back there?
Put my mic on. I think I got it now.
Hey, it's Doc, and today is the big day where I reveal my new gravel bike. And we are at St. Joe's Park in Missouri, and it's a kind of a mucky, post-rainy morning, which is going to be perfect for riding because it's very sandy down here. And probably not the best place to test this bike out.
On the perimeter trail, I would say.
Yeah, we'll stick to the perimeter trail because it's a little bit heavy for my style of riding. And but you know, my new style of riding on the gravel, it's going to be perfect. And it's kind of a unique bike. So I'm going to switch camera modes here. All right, so it's time for the great reveal. And here it is. This is a Gas 700 ES 2023 model. And that's new for this year, right?
Right, yeah, it just came over 6 months ago, I believe.
So it's a unique bike in the respect of it's not truly an adventure bike, and it's not really an enduro bike. It's somewhere in between, and so it should be perfect for what we're looking at, which is gravel roads, level B roads,
exactly.
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And you know, I'm not skilled enough to be able to take a 500-pound bike and sling it around on trails.
Or pick it up.
Or pick it up. I'm just not that big of a guy. So it's very unique in that respect. Now, Gas was purchased by KTM, I don't know when, not a couple years ago maybe?
I believe so, 2 or 3 years ago.
So Gas in its own entity really doesn't exist anymore because Gas is, the original Gas is now named something else.
Reju or something like that? I can't pronounce it correctly, but yeah.
Which is a weird thing in corporate motorcycles, but okay. Right. So it's a hybrid motorcycle, and it's something that it really doesn't fit any predetermined category as it stands. This is a whole new category. It's very similar to the KTM and the Husqvarna, both of which owned by KTM. And kind of the way I get it is that Gas is the the economy version of these motorcycles. So Husqvarna has all the high-end components. KTM's kind of the middle line, and then Gas. You know, they just, you know, you don't have like black anodized rims, the handlebars, which I have switched out for a Renthal unit and with the Cheerby handguards. That was, you know, just a no-name fatty bar on there, so not impressive. I'm glad I switched that out. The bike itself, the cool part about this bike, and I was waiting for a Honda 300 Rally. That was going to be my bike. I was all pumped about that, and it just never showed up. And then I rode one, and it was really underpowered, really underpowered. Yeah. This bike, I should mention, makes 75 horsepower.
Right, over double.
Yeah,
over double.
More than double.
300 Rally.
You know, there have been builds for XR650s where they have spent like $14,000 and they've only gotten up to 40 horsepower.
Right.
So this should be more than ample horsepower for what I need it to do. The big thing with this bike again is that it fits a niche that's never really been really successfully done before, and that's somewhere between an adventure bike and a real enduro dirt bike. It's got, you know, one of the big selling features on this bike again was great tires right out of the box. I think these are pretty awesome.
Continental
semi-aggressive tires. What are they, Continentals?
TKC 80s.
Yeah, and you know, it's just,
which is perfect for what we plan on doing.
My first step for the rally was literally going to be to put some some decent tires on it.
Right.
And then, it's got a number of safety features. It has traction control, which I really don't particularly understand in the world of motorcycles. And it's got ABS. And look at this front Brembo brake. This is a two-pot big disc that...
That almost looks like a 320 millimeter.
I think it's 280.
Oh, it could be.
I think it's 280. You don't see this on dirt bikes.
No.
And I'm a little bit worried about that on the trails, but that will come to fruition at some point, probably today. Hopefully we don't bust it up. The gas tank is all the way in the back of the bike. That's why it has such a large butt, I guess would be the best way to put it, that and that monster muffler. So 3.5 gallons. It gets about 55 miles to the gallon, so it's pretty thrifty. And so, I should be able to get some really good range out of it and not worry too much. I was hoping that it actually had a fuel gauge, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't. And I haven't read the full owner's manual yet. Fuel injected, of course. What am I forgetting here, Rob, as far as tech on this bike?
Well, just for...
I mean, that's kind of the cool part about this bike is there's tech, but yet there's not.
Like the push drive in the back, that is nice for road riding. It's more on-road type riding.
Right. Well, and the quick shift. That's
the quick shifter.
That's the other thing. So essentially, with the quick shift, as far as upshifts go, I can hammer this thing as hard as I want, throttle wide open without touching the clutch, and it'll be awesome. And for downshifts, it automatically rev matches, is my understanding. So very much some street bike kind of qualities with that. The other part is serviceability. The service schedule on this is like oil changes at 6,000 miles, and the air filter is under, since there's no gas tank up front here, the air filter is under the seat and it's very easily accessible. So again, with gravel and all the gravel dust, that's going to be a very handy thing. The downside of this bike, and I'm 5'10", is this is a very tall bike.
Yes, the seat is very wide, and then it's tall too,
and it's a pretty stiff suspension.
Yeah.
Again, that was one of the things with the Honda that I was going to have to switch out almost immediately, was the suspension on the Honda is way too soft. So I'd rather deal with a stiff suspension. I can ease that up pretty easily. I don't have a plate on it because I haven't paid my taxes on it yet. That's coming up. And I think pretty much we've run through all of the special features on this bike. Can you think of anything else, Rob?
I think we pretty much nailed it.
All right. Well, we're both gonna take this for a ride. We're gonna show you some good footage, and then we're gonna take it out on the perimeter trail here at St. Joe's, which isn't too aggressive, but it's also exactly the same spot that I wiped out last year and bunged up my wrist for 3 months. So, when we were racing, I was getting way out of control. So I don't know if I couldn't hook up to keep up with you, but when we got to the point where the sand was uncontrollable, that was about the point that I was just going to blow by you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the power comes on insanely, like third gear, and and the quick shift, awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Since this is drive-by-wire, it knows what gear you're in. So, like if when you keep shifting up, it gives you different maps and gives you more power.
Right.
So it, you know, at first, you know, I mean,
I don't think there's a map for that sand.
No.
Whoa, yeah. Do me a favor. Flip that helmet up and down. Your lid. You can't do it? Yeah, do it again. Do it again. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that this is going to be a good woods bike. I just have that feeling. I may be wrong. The seat is super comfortable, by the way. Mine's kind of logo-y. Oh, the sand is just fucking terrible. Are you having as much problem in the sand as I am? Oh, Jesus, yeah. Well, it's not that. It's the steering is really understeering. Yeah. Ooh. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, goddamn camera. Screw it, I'm gonna try it. All right, chugs through. These tires. What's that? Oh. Right. Oh shit. Okay, it's not good on roots. Oh, get off of that. That was a bad idea. We're gonna go back and I'll probably switch out for the Sherco because I think riding this is fun, but only in short stints on this trail. A lot of rocks. In the Sherco, this wouldn't bother me at all. Oh, all right. Yeah, I think this bike really just needs a lot of setup for this kind of trail. But I think it's going to be a different kind of setup than for the gravel. you know? Well, it was more so the rock that was in the middle of it that I didn't know about. Oh, okie dokie. Tires do not like bad lines. Well, it was more so the rock that was in the middle of it that I didn't. Mine's like a John Deere tractor with no suspension and bolt fucking tires. Yep. Christ almighty. Can you imagine doing this on an adventure bike? Just something this easy, you know? I know. It's like sometimes, you know, when you're like trying to straddle rocks and stuff, your hips can't go out any further than they are because they're already. Oh my gosh, this bike's squishy. Yeah. I mean, but when when you spend your time comparing to this, you know, or the Sherco, I mean, obviously, okay, go ahead, go anywhere you want. Obviously, it doesn't belong, you know. It just doesn't seem to fit. But if you take into account for what it is, it's a pretty good compromise. Okay, so initial impressions, I agree that you don't really feel the weight of the bike. No. It's actually very nimble, except I think either these tires, I didn't check the air pressure on the tires when I bought it. I'm sure they probably got 100 pounds in each one of them the way it feels. Either that or they're super stiff. But yeah, overall, it's pretty good feeling on the trail for what it is. And I mean, we're talking a 350-pound bike.
Right.
You know, so it's not awful. I think the tires are the limiting factor. I think the suspension needs to be set up for my weight. I think it's set up for someone twice my weight, for God's sakes. But yeah, let's go take this on the road for a little bit and see where it takes us.
Right.
There's a person in there. And there's actually a person in the booth. Yeah. Oh my God, this is a great street bike. I think that'll take us back. Okay, let's go that way. I think this is a trooper. he didn't notice that. Let me know if he turns around and comes after us. Not really. Oh, I see where we're at. Yeah, let's just take the 4-lane. We'll do the 4-lane. Let's go to the 4-lane. It's the quickest answer. Where? I don't see him. I'm standing here for a second. Where's he at? Okay, let him move out before we do go anywhere. My biggest thing is I don't have mirrors. No. Oh, is he turning this way? He's just waiting for a light. Oh, we can go behind him. We can go up there. Yeah, let's go up there and go around. Yeah. Let's watch out for that car. Is that much turning? Oh, go ahead. He's gone anyways now, Rob. Yeah. Can you hear me now? So what was your problem back there? Because I couldn't hear you. Yeah, because you're going like fucking 72. Yeah. First impressions. You did ride a little bit on the trail.
I did, and it was not bad at all. I mean, I was expecting it to be heavier, but
I really did too. That was probably the big surprise with this bike is the fact that on the trail, subtracting the misgivings of the tires, and like I said, I think we might be able to set those up better for tomorrow. It's really nimble. It is. I'm really amazed at how actually technically well it should be doing on the trail. I'm just having problems with the rocks.
And it's pretty apparent how much it feels wider compared to my Beta 390, but I mean,
look how wide that back end is.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that, when I was finding a point where I'd have to dab to straddle a rock or something like that,
right.
My hip was already in full abduction.
Yeah, right.
That's like, oh my God, it's not going to go any further.
Right.
But good bike. I think overall it's very promising for what I want to do for it or do with it. I don't think I'm going to be taking it in the woods much because it's kind of a big Bertha.
I mean it's a lot of power. I mean, even though I think he had in mode 2, I think, for off-road.
Yeah, mode 2 is off-road, mode 1 is highway. And we did take it on the highway a little bit.
Right.
And that is one strong engine.
Right.
Not being a road rider, I was not terribly comfortable at speeds over 60 miles an hour. But overall, it was smooth. The tires seemed to be perfect for the tarmac. But I just don't love street riding. So I think I'll be a lot happier on the gravel. So we'll probably do a little tweaking on this, and then tomorrow we'll try it again. So we got a lot of wind, so that's why we're holding our hands kind of cupped over the mics like this. Final thoughts on this bike. So, you know, we did a little bit of a video yesterday with final thoughts, and then we have more final thoughts today. Initially, the bike was pretty squirrely off-road, and, you know, we found out, or we decided to kind of tweak the bike a little bit and do a little tuning, and that was simply lowering the pressure in the tires, because the tires are set at like 35 pounds, which is crazy for off-road.
Well, it's...
And I should have done that before.
And you know, the dealership probably just set it up that way because that's...
It's for street.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I lowered the compression up front by 5 clicks. That made an amazing amount of difference, I think. And I really didn't have a manual for the back shock, so I didn't do anything with that.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay in the respect of if I put some weight on there as far as, you know, my drone and some luggage and stuff like that, I think it's going to be okay the way it is. And everybody's revving up to take off here like a like a biker gang. But the bike overall, I think, is actually very good off-road or woods for what you'd expect it to be.
I mean, for, what is it, 340 pounds?
320 pounds dry.
Dry, okay.
So probably 350.
Yeah.
You know?
And we did have it full of gas yesterday, right?
Yeah.
You filled it up, so it's 3.5 gallons.
What's a gallon weigh? A lot.
I think it's 10 pounds.
Yeah, I think so. So you guys can put that in the comments if you know how much a gallon of gas weighs.
I'm pretty sure it's about 10.
And I dropped it twice today, and that's not cool. It's still a heavy bird to pick up, and I was only on a slight incline.
Right.
And then immediately after I dropped it, I was tired and I dropped it again, which is really not cool.
But you could do it by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to do it by myself, and the big handles in the back really helped quite a bit. Although those will be getting replaced by a luggage rack here pretty soon. Right. Again, overall, it's more than the sum of its components, I think, as far as the compromise goes. I think it's really a pretty good street bike, as you can see from the footage yesterday. And we didn't do much footage today as far as off-road, but I think the consensus is
it will do it.
If you take the time and kind of prep it a little bit, it will do it. And I'd be willing to bet if you put that thing on a diet,
yes,
it would do a lot better. I mean, that exhaust has to weigh 25 pounds in itself.
That'd be the first and easiest thing to do.
Yep.
So.
But anyways, that is the end of the review. I like the bike. I'm glad I spent, well, I'm not glad I spent $13,000 on it, but I'm not going to tell my wife that. It's a cool bike, and you're going to see more of it because we're going to do a little series of riding gravel roads in Iowa, because 60% of all the roads in Iowa are either gravel or level B roads. So we're going to plot our ways to cool spots, and we're eventually going to map ourselves a trip across the entire state, maybe even a couple of times. So you guys have a great day. We'll see you on the trail.